Captain to Enterprise, Scotty, beam me up. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 145 of Restitching the Tapestry. We're feeling a lot of energy tonight, and thankfully so, because the season's been getting to us. Not like the show season, the winter season.
We're all housebound. I've been housebound for how much snow is on my car? Like a week and a half.
You're measuring the time in which you're in your house by the snow depth. Oh no. Oh no. Ari sent me a picture of their car yesterday. And just for context, and I was like, "Ooh, you can barely see the car."
Yeah, it's real bad. It's real bad.
We have gotten a lot of snow over the last few weeks. I know, like, this past weekend, like, we kind of called it the snowpocalypse, because the truth is, I honestly can't. It's been a long time since we've had snow like that. At least I don't remember us having.
2019, I think, was the last time.
You think so? I know it's been a while. I know it's been a while ago. But I was just like blown away by the sheer volume of snow that we've received. But I guess, well, now that we're here, how have you been? What have we been up to?
I've been surviving. I'm getting kind of back into the swing of things again. I was really productive today. I finally did some script work, and I did some stuff. But it's been a little bit of a struggle this week. We'll talk about it a little bit more with the sad episode. But yeah, I'm ahead too in my class. I got ahead in my classwork, so I've been kind of just like not doing much of anything. I'm glad I went grocery shopping before all the storm hit, because I've just been living off my groceries.
I mean, that's good though. I mean, considering how much snow you guys got over there, like, it would have been very easy to get just completely snowed in.
I know, and it started snowing again today.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Arpy's here. Hi, Arpy. And then Tiffany Gray is here. Hello, my dear.
Hello,
it's good to see you. Welcome. For me, this past week has been, it's been hectic. Like, I've had a couple of moments this week where I've been like, am I in my body? Am I having a manic episode?
Really? Has it been that bad?
I think Monday or Tuesday was that bad, but then I kind of like bounced back from it.
Wow.
But like, there's just been a lot going on. Brotherwell and I released an album. They made the announcement of the comic book that I worked on, which I did not expect that to happen so quickly. I figured they would wait till like February to do that. And then I have had a video blow up on my YouTube in the past few days.
So was it just all that stimulation that was sending you into a manic state?
Yeah, like, because I was like, what's going to happen next? What's going on? Am I missing something? You know, that type of headspace. But beyond that, I've been doing very well. And I've been feeling pretty creative lately too. So like, that has been a plus. That's been a plus. So.
Yeah. I understand feeling creative, but overstimulation can send you over if you're not careful. You just have to like take it in stride.
Well, the big sign for me is if I start getting really bad insomnia, and I was staying up a little while, but like, my definition of bad insomnia for me is like 3-4 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Or even all night potentially, but I did not do that. So I was just like, okay, we're good to go.
So what you could do is if you need to calm yourself down, possibly like just as between you and me, like doing breathing exercises to like bring yourself down. Also, like, do you stare at your phone before you go to bed?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
When you were feeling higher, were you, because I know that like with all of this like social, because Donnie had a video blow up on YouTube. He had a video that got several thousand views. It's some, what is it up to now? Like 23,000?
It's almost at 25,000 views. Like I mean, I've talked about the videos about gay isolation, and I've talked about it a lot across my channel over the years, and those videos tend to really pick up on the algorithm. So but I posted it 3 months ago. I didn't expect that like 3 months later suddenly the algorithm would be like, oh my god, like let's put this out there.
Yeah.
So I've had like a pretty huge influx of like new people's comments, some trolls, but that's the usual.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
If it were me, I would be staring at my phone like,
I did for a while. I was just like, what's happening right now? What's going on in this little
because I had a video last year on my tarot channel that blew up to like 12,000, and I was like,
were you glued to it being like, oh, yes?
I was just like, I wasn't glued to it, but I definitely was like, that's intense. It's intense to get that many views.
It is kind of an adrenaline rush. It's an adrenaline rush.
It's not quite an adrenaline rush because it's not like you're watching the numbers tick up. It's just so weird. It's so weird and so disenfranchised. You're just like, all of a sudden there's all these views and you're like, where did all these people come from?
Yeah.
It's just like all of a sudden there's just like a number and it's just like this high number. And you're like, did all those people watch this video? Like, that's like enough to feel like
did they take something away from this? Like what? Like what's going on?
Because nobody's it's sort of like you don't get as many comments as people watch the video.
Yeah.
So
well, I've been getting a lot of comments with this one. So
because maybe like you'll get on my video, I got like maybe 20, 30 comments compared to like 12,000 views. So like it's like it's almost like this weird disenfranchisement almost. Like
right.
You don't get as much engagement.
So usually the people who engage are either the ones who were like, yes, or the ones who were like super mad.
Right. It's always one or the other, is it not?
Yeah, it's either extreme, but I mean, that's the nature of the internet, I guess. So current event snapshot. So I'm going to be completely honest. I am so far removed from the news right now that I literally don't know what's happening in the world of politics, especially. So do we want to skip the political aspect?
Because I got a thing in the mail that talked about early election stuff. I've been trying to, the only thing I saw was that Trump had won the caucus in Iowa, and that people in the Iowa caucus were believing some really crazy stuff that Trump was saying. And I was just like, of course, Iowa, like I saw that and I was just like, having lived in Iowa, something about that just did not surprise me, that people from Iowa would believe Trump and like believe all of like the hate rhetoric of Trump. Like, because I know that like sometimes people in Iowa like can be like really nice, but at the same time, to me, Iowa is basically the South. And like, I'm basically like, having lived in Iowa, I've met some pretty hateful people. I mean, real hateful people. So especially as like somebody who is left leaning, like left leaning vegetarian, like, I'm kind of like out there, like as far as it goes. So like
not to mention LGBTQ plus too.
Well, I wasn't quite that when I was in Iowa. Like it's been years of progression at that point. I was still pretty much a cishet woman at that point. So but like I met some pretty mean people, and I meet some pretty, and like they always just try to say that's just not how things are done around here in Iowa. And it's always just done with that drawl, Iowa.
Oh no.
And like you could be living somewhere for like you could be moving into the neighborhood, and this is how it was explained to me. You could be living in the same house for 20 years, but it'll always be the old Foster place because Foster lived there for 50 years before you did. And like that's how it was. It's just that's not how things are done around here because it's just always this traditionalist community. And like things are just always very, very conservative. And so it's just like people just always have these ideas that like you cannot move into a community because that's just how the community is. Right. And like people do not like people moving in because they have this like tight-knit, this is just how the community is.
Yeah, I feel like that's especially the case in just many different rural areas across the country. Like I know like even like up where I'm from, like that there was like that same mentality, right? And it's
so them liking Trump, who has this like idea of like breaking big government and like, you know, getting back to traditionalist American values and stuff like that. Like that's his rhetoric, and like that's his like spiel that he goes off of. Iowa liking that, you know, that doesn't surprise me in the very least.
No, it doesn't surprise me either. So other current events. So we all know that geology is one of my obsessions. So I've been continuing to monitor like that little town in Iceland that's like basically a volcano. Like this town is on top of a volcano. And I feel really bad for them because this whole town, like they got to come home for the holidays for 3 seconds and basically live in danger and uncertainty. And then they got evacuated again for like the 3rd time.
Oh my God. I want to see you do like a deep dive video into this town.
Like, so like, and then like they had to evacuate again because literally the volcano just started erupting like right on the edge of town, just like right on the edge of town. Like
I want to see you do a video essay about this town.
I don't know if I have like there are geologists out there that do a way better job than I could, but
just like talk about it in vague terms and talk about it in your sense of like how it's been like a metaphor for like your political stance recently, or like how it's like part of your gay, like your gay you know, gay awakening or something. I don't know, but just be like liking it to like Dante's Peak or like
I
gay
am
awakening
flaming like this volcano.
I'm flaming like this volcano.
But in all, like I do hope that like those people are able to like find homes somewhere, because that's like really, I mean, it's as fascinated as I am about the geology of it, like it really is an entire like town of 3,000 people who are completely displaced.
Or like talk about it, how it like it triggers your empathy as a human being. Like even though it's like so far removed from you, something about global politics and stuff, you know, triggers empathy.
Right. No, I totally. I might. That is a video idea.
I'm just.
Are you ready for the mission statement?
Yes.
Is it me?
What's funny is the first time we did the seasonal depression episode, you also read so it's come back around again.
Full circle. Full circle, baby. Okay. We live in a dynamic society where social media shapes us by creating greater opportunities for connection. It has led to a developing understanding of the adversity many marginalized communities face, the powers causing the adversity, and those who act as bystanders as atrocities take place in real time. Our goal with this show is to make connections and have challenging conversations about social topics, current events, pop culture, and art. Together, let's weave the threads of understanding with what privilege we have in order to learn, educate, and create in a world that's growing.
Hmm.
Oh my, okay, so you were just mentioning a throwback, right? So everyone, we did an episode way back in season 1. What was it? Episode 21 or something
It
like
was,
that?
yeah.
It was overcoming seasonal depression. We had a really good conversation about like dietary relation to seasonal depression, what we've experienced. And I don't know, we had the idea of doing a part 2 to the episode sitting in our episode idea list for like 2 years. And we were finally like, let's do it.
Let's deep dive.
Let's do it. So we went back, rewatched our old episode. We were like, okay, like, wow, we
barely scratched the surface, because I did a lot of oversharing about how I liked carbs and basically like about the mental hospital, but we did not talk a lot about seasonal depression.
I do remember you talking about chocolate.
And how we liked potatoes. We talked a lot about potatoes.
You talked about chocolate. I delivered a soliloquy about potatoes, and
we did read some really good poetry in that episode, though.
We did everything. Hello, Godzilla Kairu. It's good to see you. Hope that you're doing well. So it's been a long time since we've reflected on this. Like, obviously that means that we've experienced about like 2 to 3 winters between then and now. So obviously we had a huge conversation about seasonal affective disorder, its ramifications, what it does to people. And I think that for the majority of this episode, we're going to be talking about where we are right now when it comes to seasonal affective disorder, how we're navigating it, because honestly, like any sort of mental health thing, like it's just like a constant vigilance. We're continuing to grow. We're getting better with it. Maybe we have a step back here and there, but we always are trying to look forward, right?
Honestly, since the first season, I think that seasonal affective disorder hasn't been so bad for me, because the winters just haven't been as severe. Like this, the winters have just been like kind of light the last few winters. Like I think the last like 2 or 3 winters, like it's been pretty less severe, like less snow. You know, it's like the amount of snowfall that we've gotten has just not been as bad as it has been, like, say, this year.
Right. Yeah. Until like a week ago. Well, and it's like, so just for context, being that we both live in Michigan, like there are stints throughout our winters where we just don't, we have days without sunlight. I think like the end of December, early January, we went like, we had an 8-day stint of no sunlight. Yeah. And I think it was really starting to I know it was starting to impact me quite a bit. And don't get me wrong, like I do love me some overcast weather, but like 8 days of no sunlight, that was kind of rough. Tiffany Gray says potatoes. I love me a good Lord of the Rings reference. Nice. She also says the last couple have been okayish for me, but oh my God, this one has been shit. Yes.
Yeah. This winter, like this winter in particular is just, and I think it's just I think we can all like agree that this winter it's like colder. It's because we get that Arctic blast. It's been colder. It's been more severe, more snow, just more extreme weather. It's been a harsh winter this year, and I think that's why it's good to talk about seasonal affective disorder, because I think that this winter in particular has just been really, really harsh.
So I guess our first question is like, how has it been manifesting for you this season, and what forms has it been taking?
So I have, like I was talking about, as we were talking about like how we were doing, so before the storm hit, I went grocery shopping and I did like a couple errands, and then the next day it started blizzarding, and so my car has been parked in front of my house, and has just been accumulating snow, and I have not left the house in over in over a week, like probably like a week and a half now. And I can't, like, I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I am craving donuts so bad, but like I don't have coffee. Like I'm down to like a certain like level of coffee. Like I'm running out of fresh vegetables. Like I'm running out of certain things, but I'm just like kind of just working with what I still have. And I'm kind of just like putting off leaving the house because it just keeps snowing. And I'm just like, I don't want to have, I'm looking at my car that's like covered in snow and it's covered in like a foot of snow right now. And just the idea of having to like do the work of having to clear it off, it just seems like it's so much work right now, and so much, it's going to be so physically demanding on my body that it's going to take more than like an hour to clear it off, that I just, it's so depressing to just even think about having to do that.
Yeah. Well, I have no doubt that you will work up to the point where you're able to do it. And I mean, hopefully if it's nice outside, because I know it's supposed to be a little bit warmer next week, maybe it'll just all melt off. But no, like I think for me, this season's been kind of filling me with like a sense of dread. Like, I know, like, and I think I saw a video where you were talking about this a little bit too, but like right before that snowstorm, I think everybody's anxiety about it, because everybody was posting about it, everybody was clangering, getting to the store, frantically buying things. Like, it just kind of filled me with like this sense of like foreboding dread, and I was just like, oh my God, what's going? Like, it almost felt like like that day, like where like everything was shutting down before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And like everybody was like freaking out, going to the store, battening down the hatches. And like it kind of like, I don't know, maybe like echoed back to that for me. And I was just like, ooh, I don't like that feeling. Like, I don't like that feeling.
I did see posts on Facebook of people panic buying the trifecta of bread, milk, and toilet paper. And I did see panic posts of people being like, I have the necessities, bread, milk, and toilet paper.
The irony in that is that those two things definitely make me need to have toilet paper.
And
I guess that makes sense.
That's really fascinating. That why is it that we need those three things in order to survive winter weather, or like any, emergency situation? Like, why is it bread, milk, and toilet paper that like those are the three things that we need specifically? And
I don't know. See, like milk is the thing that baffles me. Like, I can understand bread and toilet paper.
But like, you need milk for like cereal.
Oh, cereal, yeah. That makes sense. I guess if it's like for me, it would have to be like almond milk or something like that, right? But like,
right.
No, like it is. I think maybe it's the easiest thing to eat or make if there's like a power outage, probably.
That's exactly right. Because if you have a power outage, you want to have something that you can conveniently make something with.
Did your power go out during this last storm?
So what it was is the power during the first storm it did, and that's because I had a bunch of appliances plugged in. So what it was is I was drawing a lot of power, because I had my ice machine plugged in, I had my espresso machine plugged in, I had my cosmetic fridge plugged in. But then I read an email from my housing that said, if you're, winter storm, there are certain things you can do to prevent the power going out, and that is always unplugging unnecessary appliances. So what it was is the last few days, every time it snows, I just start unplugging all of my appliances, and I've just kept them unplugged unless I need them. And
that makes sense.
I think that's just kind of like a good, go-to, is just so it doesn't vampire suck on the
on the
energy.
system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, for, like, our power thankfully did not go out, but, like, a lot of people around us, their power, like different little neighborhoods. I know, like, my parents' power went out for, like, 2 days. I had a friend who had to, like, literally go to, like, their parents' house because their power was out for, like, 3 days. It's just so wild. I think that's one thing that kind of probably fills me with dread during the season is like that impending doom of not having access to my technology.
I wasn't so worried about myself because I had groceries, but I was worried about cat food because I was down to dry food for my cat, and I was waiting on a delivery for cat food, and that was the thing that was giving me anxiety, is that I didn't have my cat necessary dietary needs.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, when they delivered it, that anxiety that I had went away, because I had that sense of dread to when they weren't delivering my cat's food. But then when they delivered it, it was fine.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, that would have filled me with like a lot of anxiety too. Let's see. Arpy says, I don't have depression, but have been feeling pretty overwhelmed, and it's not related to the season. I'm sorry about that. I hope that resolves itself. So I guess another thing, like, and I've been trying to like find ways to overcome this, but like, especially early on, like late December, early January, I was just like feeling like incredible, like a sense of lethargicness. Like I literally every morning I felt like a worm crawling out of a bin. Just like,
oh, did you know I wrote a script? I wrote a script called "The Worm That Ate Me."
I felt like I was the worm doing the eating. That's how much eating I was doing.
Before this storm, I was actually quite motivated. I had been, kind of hopping and bopping around doing quite well. And then the storm hit. And I felt like I wasn't able to stay motivated in doing all of the stuff necessary for my life. So there was a few days where it was just like I wasn't able to, like, there was something just about snow that just paralyzed me.
Yeah. It's like the season kind of, especially when it starts impacting us with like seasonal affective disorder, like it's like it coaxes us to be sedentary. And I wonder why that is.
It's the cold. It's the cold, honestly.
It's like being sedentary, like, I mean, I guess that's why some animals hibernate during the winter, right? Like it's conserving energy, conserving resources. Tiffany says, I really miss spring. I miss being able to sit outside and connecting with nature without turning into a tiffsicle. Yes. And thank you, RP. I appreciate you saying that. I guess, okay, so obviously we're both dealing with certain degrees of this. Like, how are we navigating through our seasonal affective disorder this year specifically?
I think it's such a weird hack that I've been doing. You're going to think it's the strangest thing. So what I've been doing...
I'm going to love it.
So what I've been doing in order to motivate myself to, like, get writing work done and to, like, clean my house and stuff, what I've been doing. So did you know that Instagram Live, like when you go live on Instagram, you can set it so that you just have an audience of like practice. So like you're not actually like going live to anybody specifically. It's just like you're kind of just like recording yourself, kind of. So it's just like it's taking video, but like you're not actually. So what I did is I would go live to like an audience of no one on my like private Instagram. And so what it was is that it was just like sort of like I was FaceTiming somebody, but there was nobody there. I was just like talking to myself. And so I kind of did that as sort of like body doubling. So like it was sort of like I was talking to somebody, but there was nobody there. So I was just sort of like FaceTiming this invisible person who was watching me go throughout my activities as a way of like accountability, kind of.
Oh, so, that's interesting, actually.
So it was sort of like I was using that as kind of like an invisible accountability for myself of like, hey, I'm recording myself doing this. I'm like filming myself, and this is like an accountability. Like if I don't get this done, it's recorded. Like, I'm filming this for like a video or for some for some audience. So I'm being on right now. So I've got to look my best or do my best or like, put on a show. So I've got to do this, quickly or like in the most efficient manner. So, like I hopped up and like I'm doing. So the thing is that to get ready for that video, I had to do all of my hygiene stuff. So I have to take a shower and I have to get dressed and I have to look my best. So then as I'm doing the video, I'm going through all of these actions and doing it in the most positive, pleasant manner because I want to maintain a positive attitude as I'm performing to an audience.
I guess that makes sense. Like, I mean, it gives you a reason to work towards something, right?
Right, because I'm faking it. Because I'm trying to bring myself up out of a stupor. And so then what I was doing, so then as I'm just sitting there, I'm kind of like talking to somebody that's not there. I'm just talking to myself, but it's just as a way of like getting myself motivated to do things, even though there's nobody I'm talking to.
No, that's actually a really good idea. Especially like, I mean, people like myself as well. Like if I feel like somebody is a spectator, like I will be like, all right, here we go.
I thought it'd be great for people with like ADHD and stuff too, that if they needed some kind of like body doubling, so like somebody to watch them, but they're like scared to like, put themselves like on the internet, that if they could just like film themselves doing those activities and like kind of like psyching themselves out that they're actually like talking to somebody or like that there's actually somebody there to do those activities, then
and then
if they can't get a hold of somebody to do the activity, if they just make it seem like they're like on an Instagram live, but they're not actually live, then it would be like really useful for them.
And then by recording it, what they're doing is they are giving themselves some sort of vantage point. They're giving themselves some sort of article of like, hey, look what I accomplished. Look what I did.
Right.
Accountable. Like I'm capable of doing this. No, that's a really, really good idea.
Right. And then they're not just sitting on their phone because they can't go through any of their apps and stuff because the
phone can be a distraction.
Because their phone is being taken up by being live. So they can't just go through other apps to like, they can't be distracted by their phone because they're live on other stuff.
That's so interesting. Yeah, you have a drastically different approach than me, which I absolutely love. So for me, I've actually been, so I used to barely ever work out, but I have actually, since January 1st, have been able to at least work out 4 times a week.
Oh, really?
Which that's a lot for me. Like I normally don't. I've also been like changing up my diet a little bit. Like I'm still eating what I want, but I'm not like overgorging myself because I do that so badly in the wintertime. Like I will just like, I'll be like, oh, here's 1 helping of this food. Oh, but I need another helping. Oh, helping number 3, and then I will literally feel like, a walrus by the time I'm in bed. So I've been like,
may or may not have eaten like 5 donuts.
But we deserve to treat ourselves every now and then, right?
No, you can't say that. No, no.
I've also been trying to drink a lot more water. I bought myself this.
I love it.
It is an 80 ounce like water bottle, and you're supposed to like, it has like a little thing here that prompts you, like you start up here at 8 a.m. It's kind of hard to read it, and then by 11 a.m. you should be down here, and then by 2 p.m. you should have 40 ounces left. 5 p.m. down here, and then 8 p.m. Can you tell that I'm a little behind on mine?
Drink that water, Donnie.
I've thought about like, because I used to really love lemon water. I might try to like put some lemons in it or something. Let's talk about our mugs, because we have cute mugs. Look at our cute mugs. Oh.
That's not water, Donnie.
What is your drink of choice tonight?
It's an Americano.
Ooh, mine
I need
is,
a little bit extra because I was feeling really sleepy. I took a nap earlier before my
yeah.
meditation.
I'm drinking Lady Grey tea.
That's
I don't
also got
know.
caffeine in it.
I don't know why I was like, Lady Grey.
I love
Ooh.
Lady Grey because it has a hint that does have a hint of lemon in it.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty citrusy. So why is it difficult to use things like a light box or other healings of
Of
seasonal
seasonal
affective
effects.
disorder?
So I read up on the Mayo Clinic. Fun fact about light boxes. Did you know that if you have bipolar disorder or some other comorbidity, like some other mental disorder, that light boxes can send you into a manic episode if you haven't talked about it with your doctor?
I did not know that. That's
Yes.
interesting.
I was reading on the Mayo Clinic and it said use as discretion under the care of a doctor. Don't you should be careful about using light boxes because if you have bipolar disorder or other mental illnesses, especially bipolar disorder, it can send you into a manic episode.
I wonder how that works. So Tiffany, like these light boxes, basically it's like it's like a specific type of light that like is supposed to emulate sunlight. That you can buy literally a device that produces this light that's supposed to help people with like
Winter depression.
wintertime depression. Yeah.
But if you have bipolar disorder and winter depression, the thing about it is the comorbidity of having bipolar disorder, you run the risk of sending yourself into a manic episode.
Wow.
Which is an interesting comorbidity.
I'm gonna go do some research on that later because like is it like just the light like intensity?
Because what it is the light box gives you a boost of serotonin, and so what it is it messes
Oh,
because you're messing with your hormones. So if you mess with your hormones too much, it could send you too much farther into a good state, and it could put you into a manic state.
interesting. Yes, Tiffany, it's pretty bright.
Also, they say to get the best results for light boxes, you're supposed to start using them in September.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to start using them early in the morning. So if you start using them in wintertime, you're not going to get the most effectiveness. It's already too late if you start in wintertime. I mean, you can start using them in the wintertime, but it won't be as effective as if you had started in September to use light boxes.
Right.
That's what I heard about it, that you're supposed to start using them in September. But you can use light boxes to help get you out of the winter funk, but you're supposed to start using them in September.
Tiffany says, "Yikes, no thanks." No, it's like I guess because I've never really used a light box, and now I'm definitely being like, probably shouldn't use one. But I think for me, what gets me through it is if I think about springtime. Like if I can think about springtime and be like, oh, I'm going to be gardening, I'm going to be doing plants.
I used a light box briefly. The thing about it is that I didn't know how to effectively use it. And it really hurt my eyes. Like, because you set it on the table, right? And it's just like this bright light that just sits at you, and you're just supposed to sit there for like 20 minutes. Just like bright light for 20 minutes. And then it just shuts off.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Like that, I do feel like that would almost be overwhelming.
It makes you feel like a flower.
Tiffany says, bright light helps me see, but constant bright light on me would blind me.
I would just sit there on my phone. I would just sit there and it would just be like.
Just being spotlighted, like,
Yeah, kind of.
To be a flower. What a life that would be.
Human flower.
I want to be a flower. So interesting.
You are a gardening guru.
I'm willing to cultivate any aspiring flower. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like So what is the importance of maintaining a schedule during any time of the year? Especially during like hard times of the year. Like, so creating a routine. So do you try to create a routine, especially this time of year?
I always try to get up before 10 a.m. But especially during the wintertime, something about getting up in the morning and kind of getting moving at the same time of the day. There's something about that um, that even during like hard times, during like the winter, when you don't want to get out of bed and it's hard to get moving, and you're like,
And you're like, nope.
like I have seasonal, I'm feeling the weather, and like I'm feeling, cold, and I'm feeling this grayness, and
What?
uh I'm just, it's sort of like, when you have that schedule, it's easier to maintain it.
Right. Now, I guess for me, like creating a routine is pretty important because I think what really gets me this time of year would be like how early the sun sets. Like the sun setting early throws me for a loop every single time because I'm just like I think we center our productivity around like how bright it is during the day. And if there's like a huge chunk of the day where I'm just like, ooh, I can't do any, or I feel like I can't be productive, then I'm kind of a mess. I mean, I'm lost. I'm just more tired and not wanting to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, creating a routine is pretty important. I do have a morning routine, but for me, it's important to create an evening routine. If I don't have an evening routine, then I will literally eat dinner and I will just sit there and just rot away until bedtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not in a recuperative, restorative way by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Yeah, if the thing about it is, and that's like why it's been so good that like I was doing that body doubling stuff, is that it was helping me get through like my day and kind of like maintaining that routine. It was helping me get through it was getting me through like all of the stuff necessary to because like I was just like having trouble, like doing writing during the day, and like getting certain things done that I wanted to get done during the day. So having that body doubling, help me do certain things that, maintaining that schedule. But maintaining that schedule was like helping me like maintain, like, because I was talking about it, and maintaining that positive attitude, and like,
Hmm.
feeling upbeat and feeling as though like I'm not just, doing like bed rotting where I'm just like laying in bed and feeling like, I'm just wasting all of my time, and like I'm just, feeling depressed, and like I'm
Yeah.
because like, I got up and I took a shower, and I was like moving around, and I was like doing things, and I was doing laundry, and I was like cleaning my space, and I was like maintaining something of, even though I'm not going outside and like doing stuff, I'm still like kind of not just wasting away.
Yeah, I totally get that. Because honestly, it just makes you feel worse. Like it makes you feel more guilty about it. It makes you feel like you're being and you and I are very much the type of people where, in order to get that serotonin, we have to feel like we're being productive. And if we don't feel like we're being productive, it works against us.
It's such a Capricorn thing too. It's
It
like
is very.
gotta maintain a schedule, gotta maintain order, and
I
like you
need a,
gotta do
I
what you
need to
gotta
fill. I
do.
need to check mark this bullet point list and cross out these items.
Although I have been a rebel the last few days, and I have not done a to-do list.
Oh,
I've
I
just
am
been doing the
so proud
thing.
of you.
I was like, I'm just gonna do the things, and I'm just gonna not write down what I'm doing. I'm just gonna do the thing.
You know, and you know, I think I mentioned this toward the beginning of last year. I am a huge fan of accomplishment lists as opposed to to-do lists, right?
Yeah.
So like, and you don't have to like fill out an accomplishment list as you do the things, because like that could be a deterrent too. But like at the end of a day, if you just go through and reflect on like, oh, here are the things I accomplished today, like maybe in a journal or something, that feels so good to be able to do. It feels so good. Arpy says, I am a routine person. Tiffany says, speaking of it going dark early, my granddad actually told me that setting the clocks back in the fall and winter actually causes not just mental but physical health problems such as heart attacks. Interesting.
I'm not sure about I heard that too. And that's why places like Arizona and other places don't set their clocks back, is because they have a lot of old people and they don't want to jostle them too much. So they won't set their clocks back. I've heard that rumor, that they won't do that because they have a lot of old people. But
I wonder if there's like research on that though. Like,
I'm curious.
I mean, we should do like a whole episode on like circadian rhythm. Have you ever like done a lot of research on that?
I was looking into so there's I think we should just talk about sleep in general, because there was like two phases of sleep, or the binaural sleep or whatever. So like, or polyphasic or biphasic sleeps. So apparently, like some people like will sleep once and they'll go all the way through their sleep and they'll sleep one, through the night, right?
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, I have a biphasic sleep schedule. So like, I'll fall asleep at like midnight, 1 o'clock, right? I'll fall asleep and I'll sleep for about 3 or 4 hours until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I'll wake up and I'll be awake for like 1 or 2 hours. And so I'll be like scrolling on my phone or like, just awake until like 5 a.m. And then I'll fall asleep again until like 8 or 9 a.m.
That's interesting. Huh. Like, is that consistent or does it like waver? Does it?
That's pretty consistent. I always wake up so I fall asleep, I wake up, and then I'll fall asleep again. And then that's just how it is that I just wake up in the middle of the night for at least anywhere from like 20 minutes to like 2 hours. It just depends on the night.
Right.
But I fall asleep periodically. And sometimes it's like it's more I'll fall asleep, I'll wake up several times throughout the night or just once throughout the night. It could be that I have I have like sleep problems, like sleep apnea, or it's just that's just my sleep schedule. But I found that I just wake up periodically throughout the night, and that I'm just not tired. I'm just awake.
Interesting. A lot of people do have sleep apnea too. Like, sleep apnea can be kind of scary.
Well, if you've seen my sleep videos, you know that I probably do have sleep apnea.
Oh, my dentist said something funny to me.
What's that?
So I was at the dentist once and she was like looking at like my mouth, like looking at my airway. And she was just like, Donny, do you have any sleep problems? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, do you like just have a really hard time sleeping? Do you wake up a lot? And I'm like, I mean, I don't think so. And she's like, well, you have a really small air hole. And I was like, why are you commenting on my small air hole?
Oh.
Like, give my little, like you said, dowdy air hole a break.
with my dowdy air hole.
And she was like, you should probably get a sleep study done. And I'm like, for my small air hole, like, okay. Oh my goodness. That was funny. So let's see. Tiffany says it messes me up. It makes me even more tired. Arpy says I sometimes have trouble falling asleep. And then Tiffany says it triggers my depression because when it gets dark at 5 p.m., it just feels like the world is dead. If that makes any sense. See, I feel that way too. But it's interesting. Like, I also love nighttime a lot because I am like at my most creative. So like part of my routine, my evening routine during these months is trying to find time to be creative, because if I do that, then I can at least distract myself from the existential doom of forever night.
I remember when I was in college, when I was at community college, I would go into school and it would be dark out. And by the time I finished school for the day, it would be dark out again. And so I felt for a long time there, for like a whole like winter, I felt like a vampire. Like it's just like I was living in perennial darkness. Like it was just dark all the time. I was just like, I would be driving around with people and I would just be like this, like just in constant darkness. And I just remember that feeling of just like driving through constant darkness, through the snow and stuff, and just like constant nighttime.
Right. Oh, that's funny. RP, I don't know if I understand your question. If I was told to change, I mean, I guess it would depend on who's telling me that. I don't know. No, so no, like I do remember some days like that in college too, where I was just like, ooh, like it just, working or whatever, going out, and then it's just like nighttime constantly, it felt like. Tiffany says, I love nighttime too because that's when I do my best thinking, but too much feels like I'm being forced to overdose on drowsy drugs. Can you imagine if we lived in like Alaska or like near any of the poles, where like they would have like those specific stints of season where like it's almost dark constantly or almost light constantly?
I was watching videos about that. They were talking about like how some cities in like the Arctic Circle were not going to see darkness for like 6 months or something. And it was just like Hey
Gianda, thank you so much.
Thanks for subscribing.
We appreciate it.
But it's just I couldn't imagine like not having the sunset like in Alaska or something for like almost like 7 or 8.
Like I do feel like it would really definitely mess with seasonal depression. I mean, if you look at it, like I've been watching some of the videos and it shows like what they call like polar night, and it almost looks like just like a constant sunset or sunrise happening on the horizon. So there's like a little bit of light, but it's like twilight.
You would have to get blackout curtains. No, hands down. Like you would just have to get.
I mean, I already have blackout curtains because any small flicker of light will keep me awake.
I sleep with my light on in my room.
I commend you. I have to have it pitch black, fan running. I always
have my light on in my room.
I have very obnoxious sleep expectations for myself.
You would hate the way I sleep. I sleep with my door open, my closet door open, and my light on in my room.
I mean, I don't mind like the closet door open. Like if I wouldn't sleep with my door open.
I sleep with my door open. I sleep with my closet door open. I sleep with my light on. Sometimes I sleep with my feet outside of my blanket.
Oh, I sometimes do that too.
I don't do that usually, but I've tried. Sometimes I do. Sometimes If I would have done that as a teenager, I would have hated myself.
Tiffany says,
I would have been like, what the F are you doing?
That wouldn't bother me, honestly. I don't mind light in my room when I sleep. I hate sleeping in total darkness. I guess, like, it depends on the extent. Like, I'm very good at sleeping. Like, that's one thing I'm super good at. So I could sleep in any situation, but, like, no light is, like, optimum sleep for me.
Also, I sleep in total dead silence. No sound whatsoever.
Oh, see, that would destroy me. I have to have sound.
No video playing on my phone. No fan. Total dead silence.
Oh, we always have like a box fan running and it brings me to life. Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't bring me to life. It brings me to unconsciousness. Tiffany says, I guess being visually impaired and waking up in the dark throws me off. That's totally fair.
Fair.
And I think Arpy said, I sleep with a nightlight. I had trouble sleeping when I was little. I see, it's funny. I don't have a nightlight in our room, but I have nightlights all around our house. So many nightlights.
That's fair though. If you have to pee.
Yeah, like I'm not tripping over anything.
You need some runners. You need some light runners to the bathroom.
Yes.
In the dark.
So in terms of support systems, did we answer that question yet? In terms of support systems, how does one ask for assistance or help from people around them in the time when, this is happening? Especially if there's like extra sleepiness,
So what I'm saying is, because on the surface it seems like you're seeming like lazy or unmotivated, or it seems like you're just not, because it just to the family members it just seems like you need to get the F up, or you just need to do the thing. And so when asking for help, it sometimes feels like, are you going to get the support you need from people?
Right.
Because the fact of the matter is that around you, are people are going to help you if you seem sad? Like, because it's so diminutive to call it seasonal affective disorder or sad. You're just sad?
Are you just?
You know what I mean? It seems like you're just unmotivated. And the fact of the matter is, it's sort of like a paralysis. Like it's so hard to come out of this. It's almost like a fugue of sorts. Like you can't get yourself moving, and you have to get out of that state. Like it's sort of like you have to get yourself moving again. And it's so hard to get yourself moving again when other people are just like,
minimizing it.
Just do the thing. And it's like, you don't want to minimize the thing. It's like, I think that showing care with people who do have seasonal affective disorder, because with the mental health community, there's a lot of like, I think that we talked about in this last episode, and we talked about just doing yoga and stuff like that. And the fact of the matter is that it's not just a matter of doing just yoga. It's not just a matter of, doing just the body doubling stuff. These are symptoms and side effects of what you could possibly do to help minimize the effects of what it makes it easier to do these things. But it's very difficult to come out of seasonal affective disorder,
right?
Because it's a paralysis. It's a paralysis that affects you so deeply, because it's not just your mind, it's the whole of the environment around you that brings you down on a physical level. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, and it's I also think that like it works differently for everybody too. Like my coping mechanisms and solutions to seasonal affective disorder may be drastically different than yours or Tiffany's or Arby's, right? And like one of those privileged people who are minimizing it, they might be able to do yoga and have like a slice of avocado toast and be like, "Woo, I'm ready, new year, new me." But like that's not,
well, and it feels so Jungian, like so that it goes back to like the days of like cavemen almost, doesn't it? That like in the wintertime or like when it got cold as cavemen or like Neanderthals, when it got cold out or when the weather got bad, we would have like we would cuddle up and like try to keep warm as like a survival mechanism, that like we would try to stay out of these like storms.
Right. Absolutely. I think also that what Tiffany says also, like the stigma of it, like there is clearly a lot of stigma and minimization around it. Like I cannot begin to tell you, like I still have people who will just simply say like, oh, seasonal affective disorder is not a real thing. What are you doing? Brr. And it's like, no, like it affects hundreds of thousands of people every single year. So just because it might not affect you directly doesn't mean that, again, you should minimize other people's experiences. But then again, we see that happen for a whole variety of mental health, situations. Tiffany says, I have to have sound too. Dead silence is sensory hell for me. I sleep with the audio of funny videos playing. Comic relief also soothes my anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Right.
It's nice that you need sound. I guess I'm just kind of weird that
No, you're not. No, I actually know many people who want silence because they might find the sound too jarring.
Sometimes I play videos, but not very often these days. I only play videos when I have something playing and then I happen to fall asleep. But most of the time, I just sleep in silence.
Tiffany says we should do a whole episode about Neanderthals. Maybe we will in the future. Who knows? So how do New Year's goals affect it? I think, I know we've talked about this in the past. Like maybe it was the beginning of last season, but we talked about like the difference between resolutions and goals. Like I feel like resolutions create like a pressure, right? Whereas goals kind of like allow you something to work toward. You work
I feel like
towards
there's a certain amount
something.
of guilt, though, isn't there? Kind of like you have your New Year's goals, and like you at the beginning of the year you like want to stay motivated, but like if you have seasonal affective disorder, there's like this guilt of like if you can't maintain that because of the weather or because there's all these gray days, like maintaining that is just so difficult. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Arpy says, Donny, as far as that question I asked earlier, I meant if a family member told you, I would flat out say, like, no, if they told me to change my therapist. Because they don't, like, I know my mental health, and that's a decision for me to make, right?
Oh, goodness.
Ari, Tiffany says, Ari, my granddad is the same way. He loves sleeping in silence. And then Arpy used to have the radio on while falling asleep. So like it's really diverse, right? I guess, do we have some closing thoughts? Like, what are some closing thoughts that we have about this? Like, I guess for me, I would say be vigilant. Seasonal affective disorder might impact you when you least expect it.
Or just like take care of yourself during these times, stay warm, do some self-care. If you're having seasonal affect disorder, like if you're feeling like a sense of paralysis during these snowstorms, if you feel like you can't leave your house, or if you're having trouble navigating these snowstorms that are having, or this cold weather we're having, just take it as it comes. Like take it easy. If you're like, because if your work is getting canceled or things like that, or like if you're having trouble navigating the weather, take it as it comes, and just be kind to yourself. I think that's it. And just try to give yourself a certain amount of routine, even though you might possibly be home, and try to maintain your space, even though you may not be going out. Like especially like keeping your dishes clean, keeping your space clean, despite like not going out, because the world's benefit from that is immense.
Absolutely. And yes, Tiffany and Irby, we all have those special things that keep us going through the wintertime too. I guess, like, if I were to have a final thought, like, don't let other people minimize your own experience if you suffer from seasonal affective disorder, because again, there still is that stigma, like you were mentioning, Tiffany, right? Like, there's still that stigma. So some people might be invalidating of it. And if they are, just know that there are spaces that you can go, like us, for example, where we will fully listen and understand and be like, hey, your experience is valid, right? So, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode tonight. And, stay tuned for the next one. We love you. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe to our respective channels. Ari's channels are Strange Nothings, Tarot Time with Ari, and Boocha Baby. All right, everyone. You all have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk soon. Bye.